And
which
that's where I like to take the middle ground, because if we don't come to the table, if we don't have discussions,
Mhm.
this is why I'm trying. I also want to bring other voices onto my platform so that you can hear from, like, I want to have discussions with more feminists. I want to have discussions with more red pill guys. I want to have these discussions because we have to come to a common place to where we can make substantial change, right? Like, it's easy to play the extremes.
oh yeah.
That's We love that. We love drama. People in general love the drama. This is why we were so gravitated to like the internet beef that we
Oh
just
my, the past few
experienced.
weeks have just been a disaster on
I
YouTube.
know.
It's just been drama city 24/7. Like I'm like, well, my views are down. That's because every single person is watching all these drama fresh and fit
Yeah.
videos like
Hmm.
24/7. It's crazy. But yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
we are as humans, we gravitate towards the negative headlines, the toxic stuff. She's the worst because of this. He's the worst because of this. Like it's just the extremes. It's crazy.
Yeah. It's sad, but it's true. That's human nature in general. That's not female nature. That's not just men's nature.
No.
That's human nature. Our nature goes to chaos. And
Mhm.
that's why we have to start, being more disciplined. I talked about this in a recent video as well. It's like we need to start implementing discipline and having some level of foresight into what we want, because I think today we're living in a society where, our actions don't have consequences and we can just do whatever we want to whoever we want and whenever we want. And the
Yep.
problem with that is, like, all actions have consequences, and consequences just means a result, not good or bad. It's just means results, like a
Yep.
singular result. So the fact that, like, it can be a positive consequence or it could be a negative consequence, but all actions have consequences no matter what they are. You
Exactly.
just, and I think that today we've forgotten that. And, as women, we like to play the victim card, like
Mhm.
everything. Like, I saw a TikTok video. I'm going to send it to you too,
Oh yeah, please
where
do.
a girl is saying that men or women should not date men because that is like dating their oppressor. And I literally was like, I was cringing.
So
I
many,
was,
and you know what's sad is like that's not like a one-off thing. There's so
yeah,
many videos like that. It's because you know why? Because it's easier for everyone to, again, like you said, play the victim or to point their finger at legitimately anyone but themselves because
yeah,
nobody wants to take accountability. And I think
yeah,
that's the hardest thing too. Like even me, I'm not perfect. I look at my relationship and I'm like, okay, today I wasn't the best partner. Today I wasn't the
yeah,
best friend or daughter. Like you have to be able to look at you and the things that you do and understand where you fall short. If you can't do that, you're always going to play the victim and point it at everyone else. And as a
yeah,
society, I think we have a very tough time doing that because everyone tells you you're perfect, you deserve this, you deserve that, you're entitled to this. That's not true. The world doesn't owe you anything. Nobody owes you anything. I think people have forgotten that.
yeah. Remember that saying, the world doesn't revolve around you? Can we bring
Yeah.
that back?
What happened? Because it revolves around every single person I've seen on TikTok lately. I don't know what is going on.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It is crazy. And then, okay, so we talked about women's struggles. Now, what do you think the struggles men face the most in dating are?
Yeah, so that's a tough one because, see, that's the thing, is like, this is where you come into play. I actually watch
Okay.
a lot of your videos because, I speak primarily to women, but from what I've heard from men, for men, I think that, again, like, there's like one view of what women are.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a lot of times, like, you get sold this game, you get sold this idea of what women want. And this is the thing, like, why can't we just listen to what men want as women and say, like, okay, that's what men want, so maybe I should start adopting some of these
Yeah,
characteristics or
but
some of these
instead,
traits.
then women like, they're like, no, you want this. I'm like,
Yes,
no,
I'm like, no.
actually, no. And men sometimes do that with women too, or they'll tell you what you want, and then you're like, no, I actually don't want that. I don't care about that. And then they call you a liar. And it's like, I'll just listen to you. Just tell me what you want and I will try to do that for you. It's really
Yeah.
not that hard.
Yeah, I feel like the problem with men dating women today though is that women don't know what they want. And that's like one
That's
of the
true.
biggest that's one of the biggest things because especially with like feminism, like it contradicts itself so much. So women are literally contradicting themselves all of the time. So as a man, I can understand why it's painful because it's like I don't know what to do at this
Yeah.
point. Like, what do you want? Do you want me to hold the door open for you, or is that misogynistic? Is that like going against the
That is one
patriarchy?
where I'm just like, if I was on a date with a man and he held the door open for me, I would be like, "You're such a gentleman. You're so sweet, so
Yes.
charismatic." I wouldn't think he thinks that I can't open the door myself. Like that
Yeah.
is not even where my mind would go. I did a video all about that, and some of the guys were like, "I can't imagine a girl being mad about that." I'm like, I
Yeah.
can't imagine a
It's
lot of
shocking.
things,
So
but
it was funny because, like, when my husband and I met, he was the first person to walk on the outside of the sidewalk, like, or closest to the street. And I was like,
yes,
what are you doing? He's like, this is how gentlemen walk. And so
yes.
he like it's funny because now I just like step like if we're walking, I just step on the inside.
So do I. Or we'll be walking and my boyfriend will realize that I'm on the outside and he'll like move me over. And
Yeah,
it's like the sexiest thing ever. I'm like,
I know.
you would rather get hit by a car than have me get hit by a car? Like, thanks.
Thank you. I appreciate it. And so that's like I think that because the pendulum has swung such the opposite way that it's just really hard to know what women actually want for a man. So it's confusing and it's conflicting because, you know, if you hold the door open, it's bad. If you pay for the
Yeah.
bill, it's bad. And
Hmm.
like, do you want 50-50? Like, so so it's
Crazy.
to me overall confusing and um just like you said, crazy.
Yeah.
And then I also think too, like in general, men and women, like average men and women should just date average men and women. Like I don't understand why like women are trying to go for like literally the smallest dating pool. Like I understand, but I
Because you know
also like
why? Nobody thinks they're average.
yes.
Nobody can look at themselves and say, you know what? I'm probably a 6 out of 10. So I'm going to go for a 6 out of 10. And there are anomalies. Sometimes, you know, average men and, or what is it? Average women end up with like millionaires or something. Like
Yeah, yeah,
there are things that happen, but it's very rare. And I think people see that and they're like, oh my God, I have a chance.
yeah. I think people are dating with uh like that's the exception, not the rule, and they
Mm-hmm.
always think they're the exception, not the rule. And I'm sorry to break it to you, you're most likely the rule, not the
Yeah.
exception.
Yeah.
And we should start like living in reality because like I think that's what red pill is really it's good for men because they understand like what reality is
Mm-hmm.
in general.
Yes.
And that's where I definitely agree with that space. Um,
There are a lot of positives to red pill.
yes,
I think
yes.
there's this new thing that I've been seeing more lately. There's so many like vocab terms in the manosphere.
I know.
I should just make an entire video about like vocabulary in the manosphere because sometimes I have no
That
idea
would be funny.
what anybody's talking about. But black pill seems to be the more
Yes.
extreme red pill, but I do think that red pill is actually very beneficial for men to understand female nature, the things we want, what they need to be doing. Like it's good for awareness. I don't think it's good
Yeah.
to go into anything with a narrow mind or follow one specific thing. Like keep
Mhm.
an open mind, take what you need from different places. But this black pill thing is where I'm getting a little bit confused. I don't
It's
even
funny
know
because
what it is really.
so I actually started looking up more black pill content and
Okay.
you should look up wheat waffles.
That one has
He
been recommended to me a lot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's pretty good at like dissecting the different pills. And
Okay.
I found it really educational to be completely honest, I was like, wow, I'm very intrigued by this
It's
conversation.
interesting, especially, I mean, we do this for our job, so it's like you kind of need to know. I
Yeah.
feel like I'm like going through school again, like doing vocab tests sometimes. I'm like, I don't know what the heck that means. I need to do some research.
Yeah. When someone said the wall in my, like, someone posted like the wall is undefeated. I was like, what is
You're
the
like, what
wall?
does that mean?
And then CC writer, I was like, credit card writer. Yeah, I wrote a lot of credit cards. like,
That's
like
so funny.
I still have credit card debt. Like,
You know, sometimes I will like people will comment stuff. I'm like, I don't know what this means. Let me Google it. And I'm like, oh, nice. Thanks, guys.
yeah, or I have to watch a video to figure out what it actually means because there's so many
Yeah.
definitions of that word. But I would say I, after like watching all these black or a lot of this black pill content,
Uh-huh.
here's the thing that I I agree with. It's like women as a woman, I will assess a man in like the first 2 seconds and know if I want to be with that person or not. Like if
Right.
that makes sense.
I
So
think
like you
initial attraction is very important. I even tell the guys that on my
yes,
channel, I'm like, I'm not gonna lie to you. Initial attraction and that initial physical attraction
so
to you
important.
is so important. I mean, when I first saw my boyfriend, I thought he was like the cutest thing in the world. So it does matter for sure.
It does matter. And then that's where like game can be implemented, or I
Hmm.
guess that's having that swagger, right? Because when I met my husband, when I immediately saw him, I was like, oh, okay.
I like
Hi.
him.
I was like, I like you. And then like it was just like the whole appearance, right? Like from the
Mhm.
top down, I was like, okay, I want to get to know that person more.
Yeah.
And then he opened his mouth and I was like, you have the sexiest voice I've ever heard in my entire life. And at that point, it was like game over.
Sold.
And I think that a lot of people like miss that is like the voice, because you have to be attracted
Yes.
to someone's voice. I feel like the voice always gets left out in the conversation.
It
But if
does, but it's actually so important.
right, because if an attractive man came up to me, like let's say like an 8 9, right,
Hmm.
8 9 10, right, on every level this person is attractive, and then he opens his mouth and he sounds like a squeaky duck, or like he sounds
Yeah. Or he
crazy,
sounds
or
like
like
unintelligent or like can't form a like
yes,
there are little things like that that do matter. They're like all little puzzle pieces to the big puzzle. And it's like the more you have, the better
exactly,
off you'll be, but you don't have to have the whole puzzle sometimes. It's like,
exactly.
and also I think guys get discouraged because they think if they're not like, ripped or they don't look like a Ken doll, that they won't get girls. But there are so many different things that you can do to make yourself more attractive. Like even if you weren't gifted or you didn't win the genetic lottery necessarily, like there are things that you can do.
Mhm. Yeah, and I think that's what Black Pill likes to talk about too. Like you have to,
Okay.
if you're like a 2 3 or 4, like even at 5, like there are things that you have to do before the game to
Mm-hmm.
level up like your physical attributes, whether that's going to the gym or that's working on yourself in order
Yeah.
for you to go out into the dating market. So I think that's where the Black Pill and Red Pill kind of have differences in opinion from
Mhm.
what I've gathered. Again, I'm an observationalist, so I love to hear this stuff and watch
Yeah.
it. But we Waffles is pretty good with his breakdown on all this stuff. And I was like, wow, he
I'll
has
check
a
it
point
out.
there.
I'll check it out. That's really interesting. There are so many channels now for like all that different stuff, so it's hard to keep up. What are some of your favorite channels like in the Manosphere or like our space in general?
Yeah, so it's funny because they don't like to call themselves Manosphere, but I love the roommates. I've been
Oh my
watching the
God.
roommates for
They are my
I
favorite.
love them. I
Yeah.
love them. I think that's what I wish more channels were like, especially for male improvement. I
Hmm.
think it's easy to bash women, but it's one thing, like even Hafiz says this himself. He's like, it's not a sexy thing to like tell men they have to be better. It's easy to kind of go like rogue the opposite side, right?
Oh
Where
yeah.
we can talk about those channels too. But and then I do like MTR. Is that his? Is that
I've never heard of.
mediocre tutorials?
I've never watched him. I think people have
He's
told me to
good because
react.
yeah, he's good because he's funny. He's like the viscid innards, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is actually funny. He breaks it down in a way where it's like, wow, that's actually hilarious, and I
Okay.
really he's entertaining to watch, and I love watching your videos as well, especially because you give like the actual like it's more of like appearance and what smells. So I'm like, okay, what should I shop for fragrances for my husband? He only wears like a certain number of fragrances, but like
Okay.
I love that. And he used to be a personal stylist. So I was like, okay, what does Courtney have to say about fall
Oh,
and
so
winter?
he's got
Like,
the style going on too. See, that is a huge thing that guys overlook. If you are like mediocre attractive, but you have amazing style, good to go.
100%.
You're good to go. You don't
Like,
even
if you,
have to worry.
yeah, like you just got to dress. I feel mm, like if you're not confident, right? It's you'll tend to see your body like go in and like you
Hmm.
just walk with your head down and like if you have a sense of confidence and like even just putting on a amazing outfit will make you
Hmm.
feel like $100. Like you can like fake confidence with a
Oh,
really good
yeah.
outfit and like my
Standing up
husband
straight, like so
yeah.
many things. As a whole, I mean, I think style is so important for guys. Of course, it's not the most important thing. Your character is obviously more important, but it can help you get a lot further than you would without it, for sure.
Oh, 100%. So I definitely agree with that. And then let's see, I love listening to Kevin Samuel sometimes. I
He's
binge
so
watch.
entertaining. He is so entertaining.
Yo, you know what it is? It's like I understand. So I understand him like in a way because as a woman, like my counselor spoke to me, maybe not like with curse words or anything, but he spoke to me in a very real way. And
Hmm.
so I needed that dose of reality to get
Yes.
me to the next step. And I think that's what Kevin does. And he speaks to women the same way he speaks to men. So if you go all the way back to his channel,
Hmm.
he's speaking to men the same exact way he's speaking to women now. It's just that women are not used to
People talking to them like
someone's,
that. Which is
yeah,
like,
it's
it's just another reason why it's needed. It's like a reality check. Like, it's like that honest friend that you have that you're
yeah.
hesitant to go to them for advice because you know they're going to tell you something that you don't want to hear, but they're going to tell you what you need to hear. I've always been
Yeah.
the honest friend in my friend group, and I think that's why I don't get offended by stuff like that. And I like to watch content like that because I am the honest friend. I will tell you what you need to hear, not what you want to hear. I'm not going to sugarcoat things for you. Like, that's just not how I am. So I think it's necessary for sure. And it's very entertaining.